إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. يقول الله تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we glorify Him, we seek His aid and His assistance, and we seek refuge in Him from the evil of our souls, the evil within ourselves, and we seek His forgiveness, and we ask for His mercy. And we send our salutations on our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From the pillars of our iman is believing in the last day, believing that a time is going to come when the world will come to an end. And this is known as in the prophetic literature and the Quranic verses as as-sa'a, the hour. But it's referring really to the time, not a particular 160-minute hour, but a time in which the world will come to an end. And this is a pillar of our iman, and this is part of our belief in the last day, that this world that we're living in is going to come to an end. And this is part of our belief, as Rasulullah sallallahu, when he answered about what is iman, he said, al-iman an tu'mina billah wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'mina bil qadri khayrihi wa sharri. And Rasulullah sallallahu, when he was asked what is iman, to believe in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers, and to believe in the last day, to believe in the last day and to believe in divine decree. So this world will definitely come to an end, but the question that comes up after is when? When will it come to an end? And this is something that has been asked in the past, and it continues to be asked, and people will continue to ask it in the future, of when this world will end. And people have made predictions about when this world will end, but the reality is that no one knows except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this in the Quran several times, of people asking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ, they are asking you about the hour. أَيَّانَ مُرْسَاهَا, when is it? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds all the time that this knowledge is with Allah. قُلْ إِنَّمَا عِلْمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, that this knowledge is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَا يُجَلِّيهَا لِوَقْتِهَا إِلَّا هُ, no one will give its time except for Him. No one will give its time except for Him. يَسْأَلُكَ النَّاسُ عَنِ السَّاعَةِ. In other verses, Allah mentions that the people are asking about the sa'a, and the response is always the same, that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And in the hadith, when Rasulullah was asked by Jibreel alayhi salam, مَتَى السَّاعَةِ, when is the hour? And his response was, مَا الْمَسْئُولُ عَنْهَا بِأَعْلَمَ مِنَ السَّائِلِ, that the one who is asked knows no more than the one who is asking the question. So we don't know when this hour will be. However, Rasulullah has given signs of when it will happen, so that even though we don't know exactly when, there will be enough information for us to know when it is approaching, when it will approach. And the scholars have divided the signs of the hour into two main categories. We have the alamatu sa'a al-kubra, the major signs, and these are the signs that come right before the end of the world. Right before the end of the world, they are about 10 in number. And then the second category are the minor signs, alamatu sa'a al-sughra, the minor signs, which began from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam until the present time, and will continue until the very first major sign. And they are many in number, and we don't have time to mention all of them, But what we want to focus on, inshallah ta'ala, today are some of the signs, the minor signs of the hour that are somewhat within our control. So we have signs of the hour that are not within our control at all. Natural disasters, supernatural events, things that we have no control over whatsoever. And we'll leave those for another time. But there are also some signs Rasulullah has predicted that we have somewhat control over, meaning that if we have knowledge of them, we can avoid them. Even though we know that the hour is going to come no matter what. إِنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَآتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا. That the hour, the end of the world is going to come, no matter what we do. We can't prevent it. But we can at least ensure that the signs that Rasulullah is talking about, the negative signs, we are not the ones upon whom it happened on our hands. So we don't want to be the ones who Rasulullah is the one predicting that, talking about us. So we'll focus on some of these signs that we can somewhat control. And we'll start with a sign that Rasulullah talks about, which has become very widespread today. And that is the loss of honesty and the loss of trust. A man came to Rasulullah and he asked the question that has been asked over and over again: when is the hour? Mata sa'a? When is the hour? And Rasulullah did not answer him. He did not answer the question. And the people started to discuss, why did he answer the question? Maybe he didn't hear the question. And some of them said maybe he did not like that question. So they started to discuss until Rasulullah asked, where is that person who is asking about the hour? And then the man came forward and he said that it is me who is asking the question. And then Rasulullah gave him an answer. And he said that the hour will come إِذَا ضُيِّعَتَ الْأَمَانَةِ إِذَا ضُيِّعَتَ الْأَمَانَةِ فَانْتَظِرُوا السَّاعَةِ. When there's loss of trust and there's loss of honesty, when there's no more honesty and trust anymore, then wait for the hour. And then the man asks a further question: what does that mean? How will trust and honesty be lost? وَكَيْفَ إِضَاعَتُهَا? And Rasulullah responded, إِذَا أُسْنِدَ الْأَمْرُ إِلَى غَيْرِ أَهْلِهِ. When matters are placed in the hands of people who are not deserving. When matters are placed in the hands of people who are not deserving, who are not qualified. Specifically referring to leadership positions, but it can also include anything in which a person is not qualified, but they end up taking control or taking part in something that they have no business taking part in. When the matters are placed in the hands of people who have no business taking care of those matters. إِذَا أُسْنِدَ الْأَمْرُ إِلَى غَيْرِ أَهْلِهِ فَانْتَظِرُوا السَّاعَةِ. When the matters are placed in the hands of people who are not qualified, then wait for the hour. And we see that this is widespread today. I was looking at some statistics, and they say that at least 30%, and it could go all the way up to 70%, but at least 30% of people openly lie on their resume, right? To obtain a job, obtain some sort of position, they lie on the resume. This is 30%, and it could go all the way up to 70% of people. We're not talking about exaggerating, right, or making the words seem a bit more beautified than it actually is, but actually openly lying. They said that this is at least 30%, and this can maybe even go all the way up to 70% of people who are lying on their resumes, and then they obtain a job, and they're probably not qualified because they had to lie, and they're not qualified. And this can be an example of loss of trust, the loss of honesty. And this loss of trust is a symptom of a wider problem, which is when there is a reversal of standards. When things that used to be seem to be standard have now flipped around in the complete opposite direction. Rasulullah says in hadith, سَيَأْتِي عَلَى النَّاسِ سَنَوَاتٍ خَدَّعَاتٍ, that there will come times of deception, years of deception. يُصَدَّقُ فِيهَا الْكَاذِبِ, in which the liar will be believed. وَيُكَذَّبُ فِيهَا الصَّادِقِ, and the truthful person will be deemed a liar. وَيُؤْتَمَنُ فِيهَا الْخَائِنِ, and the treacherous person will be regarded as trustworthy. وَيُخَوَّنُ فِيهَا الْأَمِينِ, and the honest person will be regarded as treacherous. وَيَنْتِقُ فِيهَا الرُّوَيْبِضَةِ, and the ruwaybida will speak. قِيلَ وَمَا الرُّوَيْبِضَةِ قال الرجل التافه يتكلم في أمر العامة. In this hadith, Rasulullah says that years of deception will come, in which the liar will be believed, and the truthful person will be regarded as a liar, and the trustworthy person will be regarded as untrustworthy, and the untrustworthy will be regarded as trustworthy. And of course, we see this happening today. As we all know, what is happening, has been happening in Palestine, in Gaza, for the past months, of the killing and the genocide that's happening. And we see that the architects of this genocide, they came here. And when he's asked about if there are any innocent people who have been killed in Rafah, what did he say? He said that practically none. He said practically none have been killed in Rafah, even though we have the pictures, right? We have the videos, and it's there for everyone to see. But yet, this man has the nerve to say that practically none, no innocent people have been killed in Rafah, which is the last refuge that our brothers and sisters in Palestine have to go to after all the rest of the country has been torn apart. And this man comes and says that practically none have been killed. And then he is greeted with a round of applause. Everyone gets up and they stand up and they applaud him. يُصَدَّقُ فِيهَا الْكَاذِبُ, in which the liar is regarded as trustworthy and is believed, while the truthful are regarded as liars. And we have statistics, even from third-party sources, who say that over 40,000, and maybe even more, have been killed. Innocent people have been killed. And these are regarded as liars, and the liar is regarded as a trustworthy person. So we see that this is something widespread today. And then Rasulullah says at the end of this hadith that the Ruwaybidah will speak. And who are the Ruwaybidah? Rasulullah said that they are lowly people, that they are insignificant people speaking about significant matters. الرجل التافه يتكلم في أمر العامة. A person, he is insignificant, has no significance in society, but yet he speaks on matters of great significance. And of course, this has been amplified into our times, where the only qualification you need to speak about significant and huge matters is that you have an internet connection. You have high-speed internet, and now you can influence and you can talk about things that you have no business talking about. And this is widespread in our society today. And part of this reversal of standards is also the problem of false testimony. And this comes under the category of the liar being believed. Rasulullah says in hadith that from amongst the signs of the hour is تسليم الخاصة وفشو التجارة حتى تعين المرأة زوجها على تجارة وقطع الأرحام وفشو العلم وظهور الشهادة الزور وكتمان شهادة الحق. The Rasulullah says amongst the signs of the hour is taslim al-khasa, when people will greet and they give salam, but they will only give salam to people they know. And this is something that Rasulullah advised us to avoid. تقرأ السلام على من عرفت ومن لم تعرف. He says in hadith that one of the virtuous qualities of the believer is that he gives the salam upon whom you know and upon whom you do not know. Everyone, every Muslim has that right of salam. And the increase in trade, to the point where a woman will help her husband in trade. And cutting off of family ties. And the spread of information. And the appearance of false testimony. وظهور الشهادة بالزور. And the spreading of false testimony. And the appearance of true testimony being concealed. So this is also from the signs of the hour. And after that, another sign, and this is more specific to our sisters, our Muslim sisters, in which Rasulullah says in the hadith that there are two categories of people, Sunfani min ahli nar lam arahuma, that there are two categories of people, but from the fire I have not seen them, meaning that they will come later on. And the first is a person who's possessing whips like the tail of an ox, and they flog the people with those whips, referring to people oppressing others. And the second is وَنِسَاءٌ عَارِيَاتٌ كَاسِيَاتٌ عَارِيَاتٌ مُمِيلَاتٌ مَائِلَاتٌ رُؤُسُهُنَّ. And the second is the appearance of women who are clothed but unclothed. They're wearing clothes, but at the same time they're not wearing clothes. They're clothed, but they are unclothed. and they are inclined towards evil, and they incline others towards evil, and their heads are like the heads of camels, the hump of a camel. So this is specifically for our sisters, but also applies for the brothers as well, because we all have mothers, and we all have sisters, and we have wives and daughters. So this is information that is beneficial and important for us as well. Where Rasulullah ﷺ is warning against women, and these are Muslim women. This is not talking about kuffar women who don't have the concept of hijab to begin with. This is talking about Muslim women who are clothed, but they are yet unclothed, either because they're not covering properly, or because the clothing is very tight and revealing, or some other reason. But they are not wearing the proper way of hijab and covering. And this is a problem that has become widespread only recently. Maybe 12, 15, 20 plus years ago, we used to take our understanding of hijab from scholars and from the Quran and the Sunnah. Nowadays, the understanding of hijab is coming from where? It's coming from TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. This is where the understanding of hijab is coming from these days. And this is something very dangerous. We don't want to be falling into the category which Rasulullah is warning against. He says in this hadith at the end that لا يجدن ريحها, they will not enter Jannah. لا يدخلن الجنة, they will not enter Jannah. ولا يجدن ريحها وإن ريحها لتوجد من مسيرة كذا وكذا. That they will not enter paradise, even though the scent of paradise can be smelled and scented from a very far distance. So this is also part of from the signs of the hour, and something that we have to be very careful of. We take our understanding of hijab as we take our understanding of all aspects of the religion from the ulama, from the scholars, not from the social media or anything else. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The last sign that we'll mention is the taking away of knowledge. The taking away of knowledge. Rasulullah says in a hadith that إن بين يدي الساعة الأيام ينزل فيها الجهل. There will be days close to the end of time, close to when the hour will be established, in which ignorance will prevail. وَيُرْفَعُ فِيهَا الْعِلْمِ, and knowledge will be lifted. Knowledge will be lifted. وَيَكْثُرُ فِيهَا الْحَرْجِ, and harj will increase. And Rasulullah then interpreted this word. He said, al-harj, al-qatl, it is killing, widespread killing. So in this hadith, Rasulullah says that towards the very end of time, there will be widespread ignorance, meaning that religious knowledge will be taken away. We're not talking about secular knowledge, this is of course on the rise, but religious knowledge. There will be widespread ignorance of religious knowledge. And the religious knowledge will be lifted away. A person might ask, how is it that Rasulullah ﷺ is predicting that knowledge, religious knowledge will be taken away, when we have access to almost any book that has ever been written in Islamic sciences? We have access to it on the internet. We have lectures, we have classes, all available. You can have it at the tip of your fingers. There are entire institutes, Islamic universities online. So a person might say that this is actually the widespread knowledge, and not widespread ignorance. But the answer to that is that what we have available is information, but not knowledge. There's a difference between information and knowledge. What we have widely available is information, and we can benefit from that information. We're not saying not to benefit from this information, but the real and true ilm is what is in the hearts of the ulama, the hearts of the scholars, and the people of knowledge. This is where the real and true ilm is, and that is what real knowledge is, and that is what is disappearing. And this is what Rasulullah warned us about when it comes to the removal of knowledge. He says in the hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَقْبِضُ الْعِلْمَ انتزاعا ينتزعه من الناس. That Rasulullah said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not lift knowledge from the people by snatching it from the hearts. Right? The knowledge will not be removed by somebody just waking up and after having a knowledge yesterday, they wake up not having anything today. Rather, Allah will remove the knowledge by وَلَكِنْ يَقْبِضُ الْعِلْمِ بِقَبْضِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. But He will remove knowledge by taking the souls of the scholars and the true inheritors of the Prophet ﷺ. The true and noble, righteous scholars, they will pass away, as everyone will pass away. But they will not have anyone to inherit that knowledge from them. There will not be anyone who will inherit and take that knowledge from them. وَلَكِنْ يَقْبِضُ الْعِلْمِ بِقَبْضِ الْعُلَمَاءِ حَتَّى إِذَا لَمْ يُبْقِ عَالِمًا. Until there will not be left any righteous people of knowledge left. They've all died and passed away. And there was no one left to take that knowledge from them. So when that time comes, اتَّخَذَ النَّاسِ رُؤُوسًا جُهَالًا. Then people will take, instead of taking the righteous ulama who are no longer around, they have passed away and no one has taken their knowledge from them, instead people will take the ignorant as their sources of knowledge. فَسُئِلُوا. And these ignorant people will be asked. They will be asked about matters of the religion, and they will answer upon ignorance. فَأَفْتَوْا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. And they will answer without having any knowledge. فَضَلُّوا وَأَضَلُّوا. And so they will be astray, and they will lead others astray. So this is how the knowledge will be lifted. That we have ulama amongst us, but they're not being taken advantage of. We have people of knowledge who are around amongst us, but they're not being taken advantage of. And when they pass away, then the knowledge goes with them. And so the ilm is lifted, even though we have all this information at our disposal and at our fingertips. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from fitan, trials and tribulations that will come towards the very end. And we mentioned a number of them here, and there are many others that have happened. And the scholars have divided these signs of the hour in terms of categorization of those that have passed and have gone already, occurred already. There are many of them have occurred already. And then there are those that are happening right now. And then there are those that are going to happen very soon. So there are some that are happening right now. We've mentioned some of those here. And it is upon us to ensure that we are not the ones being described in these ahadith and these ayat that we have quoted here today, in which Rasulullah has predicted certain signs of the hour. So it is upon us to make sure that we are not those who Rasulullah has described, of those mentioned in the hadith of being on the sign of the hour, amongst the signs of the hour. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection from trials and tribulations. Allahumma ajnubna al-fitan ma dhahara minha wa ma batan. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا مصرف القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين وفي السودان وفي بنغلاديش وفي كل أنحاء العالم اللهم آمين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم نسألك العافية في الدنيا والآخرة إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون قيموا الصلاة